That reminds me. Would someone please tell the management guys that we need more toilet paper in the ladies' room? Persephone could hear more people laughing now, and the Kotex dispenser is empty as well. Now people were definitely laughing, and some were clapping and whistling. Mark allowed himself a slow laugh. He sounded like Lurch from the Addams Family. He continued talking for the next 15 minutes or so about various subjects. With that unemotional, monotone voice, he broke up the audience every time. Persephone was thinking to herself that it looked like two decent stand-up routines had kicked off the show. Her only prayer was that Jeff would be called next, and that his humor on stage was like the kind he displayed backstage. Judging from her watch, she had just a few more minutes before Mark would start to wrap up his routine, unless he wanted to continue longer than Patrick had. At that same moment, Jeff started to have a fright attack. He panicked. There's just no way I'm ready to do this now. Jeff turned to Persephone with fear written all over his face. Do you hear this guy? And that Patrick? Wow, those guys are pros, Jeff proclaimed. He seemed to be looking to Persephone for reassurance. Persephone had just been contemplating whether she had enough time to step out to the ladies' room before Mark concluded his routine. Then Jeff freaked. She had to pee, not from nerves, just nature. Persephone stood up and headed for the door. Jeff mistook her movements as a final exit, a sign of abandonment. Forget women and children first. He seemed to find it necessary to be the first one on the lifeboat. He tried to push Persephone aside, but instead he bumped her shoulder and stepped on her already cramped left baby toe in his haste. The bolt of pain brought tears to Persephone's eyes, but she didn't dare let out a scream. Instead, she slapped Jeff soundly on the back of his nappy head, to which he responded, Hey, that hurt! Even though his hair was rough to the touch, the act felt good to Persephone. She limped to the ladies' room and quickly used the toilet. After washing and drying her hands, she got the small plastic tube of lotion she always kept in supply in her purse and quickly undid the cap, got a dab in her right palm, and replaced the lid. Then she placed the tube back in her purse. While rubbing the lotion in with both hands, working vigorously, she whispered a little prayer in the mirror, then hurried back to the designated room behind the stage. When she was seated in the now empty room, she took off the left shoe, the one Jeff had stepped on, to see if there was any visible damage. The throbbing had stopped, and there didn't appear to be any swelling or bleeding, so she guessed his heavy stomp would probably aggravate the already sore toe, but that would be about it. Mark ended his routine at about the same time Persephone replaced her shoe. The MC made the crowd clap some more for Mark, then said, We thought it would be an amateur night tonight, but put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, again, for Mark Casey. The MC encouraged the crowd to remain energetic. Mark didn't get as much applause as Patrick, but still a lot more than the MC had received. Now we have two more people who are all ready to make you laugh. Next, from Highland Park, Persephone heard a burst of muffled laughter from the audience. Everyone knew Highland Park, Michigan was a big black ghetto. Persephone could only guess that was said in the crowd. Put your hands together for Jeff Stark. Jeff Stark, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, clap for the guy. The MC jokingly encouraged the suddenly unenthusiastic audience. A man in a gray jogging suit and a Detroit Tiger's baseball cap, stepped into the room, apparently looking for Jeff. Persephone just hunched her shoulders in a search me sort of gesture. Then he left. What's that? What? Oh, yeah? Well, that makes Jeff Stark a chicken shit. Persephone could hear the MC telling someone, probably the guy that was just back there. She knew it would be her turn next. She surprised herself by not being nervous at all. She felt more of a calm eagerness to do well, to climb her first mountain. Persephone had secretly rehearsed her stand-up routine in the privacy of her bedroom, with only the reflection in the mirror as her audience. She was sure she made at least 100 changes since the first draft of her comedic script. She had prepared 30 minutes worth of things she considered to be her best stuff, and could even slice the routine up into 15 or 20-minute skits. Most rooms varied in the time allotted to comedians, but a minimum of 15 minutes was the norm. After she worked out a decent enough routine, her next step was to scout out a comedy club. Only the right club would do for her first appearance. B's Comedy Kitchen, located in downtown section of Detroit, seemed to be the likely choice at first because the crowd had a good mix with blacks and whites, the young and the not so young, making up its audience. Persephone frequented the club when they had weekend headliners, usually emceed by the notorious downtown Tony Brown. But the Thursday night amateur show was new to her. The Thursday she attended, many in the audience heckled the bad but brave comedians like it was showtime at the Apollo. They they verbally they verbally they verbally battered the already nervous new comics like a group of schoolyard bullies. That left the Comedy Palace as the most likely choice for Persephone's first attempt at stand up. So maybe there wouldn't be many brothers and sisters in the audience, but Persephone thought that might not be a loss for her. All 4 times Persephone had attended the Comedy Palace's amateur night in the past months, the audience had been tame. Yeah, there was a heckler or two, but at least they were gentle. Of course, almost every comedy club audience had a closet comic in the form of a heckler, some person who enviously wished they had the courage and confidence necessary to get on stage and make people laugh. They were too cowardly to actually get up there. But after a few beers, that same person heckled at every weak opportunity. Persephone had recently lost her computer transfer job at CMB, which Persephone, after her termination from the establishment, said stood for cocksucking mangy motherfucker wouldn't work bitch. In fact, in reality, the initial stood for Community Michigan Bank. Persephone had worked in the computerized wire transfer department. After working there for 2 years as a wire transfer clerk, the bank went high-tech and funded the necessary training for its workers to join the world of computers. Whoever failed the class eventually lost their job. Persephone had no problem getting through her studies, and she graduated in the top percentile of her class, made up of 42 people from CMB. And that will conclude this part for now. Stay tuned for Big Sister Almighty.